So we just saw how you can add cross-sell items on a sales order and how you can modify them afterwards. Now I will show you how this setup was be done. I go back to my item list and I will select the snack mix. That was the initial item I entered on the sales order. On the menu, we see a cross-sell lines item. If I click on this, we will open the list of linked cross-sell items. This is the list we saw previously on the sales order, and here you see how it was linked to the item. And we can select items, we can predefine a quantity if required or if wanted, and we can also select the unit of measure code. So this list will be displayed on the sales order if you click the cross-sell item list. Of course, if you have a lot of items and a lot of cross-sell items, it will demand a lot of effort to maintain these lists. So in the next video, I will show you how you can optimize it with some advanced cross-sell codes. So we just saw how we can set up very easily cross-sell items linked to an item. As I explained already, it will demand quite some effort if you have a lot of items and a lot of cross-sell items to maintain this. So we have a more advanced, a more flexible way to help you to set up cross-sell. On my screen, you will see I have created a case with smartphones. So there is quite a list of different smartphones. There is a list of cases for those smartphones, and there are also chargers and screen protectors for those iPhones. And I want to use all those items in an efficient way to have cross-selling on my sales order. What is important to notice, on the items, we also have enabled item attributes, and we will use those item attributes to set up a performant cross-sell code. And the item attributes will be used to filter the correct cross-sell items. So how is this done? We create cross-sell codes. I just prepared it by creating a cross-sell code phones, and I can open a page with the setup of that cross-sell code. So we see some general information where I can give a code and a description. And in the second part, we can define the structure of how the cross-sell items will be presented to me. So I can make different, I would call it chapters, divisions in the cross-sell list with using some item categories. So we use the item categories to make a division in the cross-sell items. Per cross-sell item category code, we can then define the filters which items should be included in that section. So first I have a category services. I will include in the services an item where the item type has the value service. So everybody knows on the item card we can have inventory items, service items, and non-inventory items. I will display here all the service items. In the second part, I will have the cases. How will the cases be filtered from the item list? I will use item attributes. So I will first use the item attribute of the model. So that will be the iPhone 13, 14, 15, or the Pixel 8 or 9. And we can see that I'm using the item attribute model, and I will inherit the value. So that means I will first of all put the initial phone on the sales order, and to select the case, I will inherit the model from the phone. But I will also apply a second filter where I use the item attribute type, that I just see the cases. So I will not see the screen protectors or the chargers for that phone, but just the cases that are valid for that phone. Then I have a section for the screen protectors where I have a very similar setup where I now use the screen protectors item attribute value instead of the cases. Then the same thing for the chargers. And at the end, I've created an item category others where I will not use item attributes to include items, but here I can show you that on top of using filters, we can also just add lines. So in the others, I will add a line with a resource, not an item, a resource. I created a resource installation where we can add that to the sales order if we will perform the installation and the data migration on the new phone. And on the second line, I inserted an item where I can also offer the snack mix if the customer wants to have a snack while he's waiting for the installation. So that's the setup of my cross-sell code. If I go back now to my item list, we can see that on the lines of the different phones, I added the cross-sell code to the item. So that will tell the system now, if I put one of the phones on the sales order or on the sales quote, it will recognize the sales cross-sell code phones. And this cross-sell code with the setup I just showed will be used to give a list of available options. Let's try this.